Hello there, and welcome to this episode of the Star Wars Youniverse podcast, where I am joined once again by good friend Todd Sedelack.
Hello there. I know my accent again is terrible. I promise at some point I'll stop trying to impress you with it.
Never stop. Always aim for the best goal you can. Never stop until you achieve it. And we're here this time to talk about the next three books of the Fate of the Jedi series, those being Backlash, Allies, and Vortex. We've both recently finished the next three installments, and we're going to start with Backlash because that is the first in these three books. Todd, what grade would you give this book?
I would have to say a pretty solid B+. Maybe bordering on A-. I really liked all the Dathomir stuff. I'm a fan of the witches and Night Sisters of Dathomir. There's a lot of cool stuff with Rancors and the Night Sisters powers and how they can control the Rancors, and it was so yeah. Let's go A-. Let's go A-.
Pushing it up. It's I would also give it a high B+, low A-. It was a really, really good book, really, really enjoyable, and yeah, kind of for similar reasons. The Dathomir stuff, the riding and of the Rancors, and just the whole Rancor situation was fascinating to me. I think I read most of this book on my previous read through, but I definitely hit a point in this book where I was like, I don't recognize this anymore. There's nothing. Mm-hmm. So for some reason, I put this book down at some point, and it might well have been to do with the Disney acquisition where they decanonized everything, and I threw a bit of a fit and wasn't happy with it. But time heals all wounds, as they say.
That it does.
Yeah, absolutely. So this book really sort of is getting into gear with this series, and we've had a whole lot of setup. Book 3 starts that speeding up and sort of frantic pace that I think for me, we'll get to the other two books, it really just carries on growing through these next two. Let's talk about our two main characters, which this series is really about, and that is Luke and Ben and their journey. And so they're obviously tracking Abeloth. We have a name for this entity now, and they go to Dathomir, and they are engaging with the Night Sisters and learning about their way of life, which obviously gets explored a lot more within canon in the Clone Wars and things like that with Mother Talzin, who none of whom appear in this book, but the core values of the clans on Dathomir are explored and are really interesting.
You've got the Raining Leaves and the Broken Columns.
That's it, and they are going through a merger, for want of a better phrase, but they're merging as two clans, and Luke joins them, and as an outsider to kind of try and help mediate any issues that they come, and also to sort of further, they know Vestara Kai. They know that she's on Dathomir. They followed her through Luke's Force blood tracking. Which is
still a very cool Force power.
Absolutely. He can track his own blood through the Force, which is just awesome. They know that she's on Dathomir, and she is part of these two clans as well. So she's integrated herself into these two clans. They don't trust her. Luke and Ben don't trust her, but the other Dathomiri folk seem to have accepted her in. And a lot of this book was really, for me, Luke and Ben trying to catch Vestara out. and sort of expose that lie.
Mm-hmm.
It was a really interesting way of you see Luke and Ben playing very much good cop, bad cop throughout this. Of Luke is naturally the bad cop. He's the Jedi Master. And Luke is this sweet, innocent, attractive young man to this.
Ben, you mean?
Ben. Who did I say?
You said Luke again.
Oh, God.
Luke and Luke. Yeah, it's definitely good cop, bad cop, but it's also the added thing of Ben being a teenager.
Teenage boy.
And apparently Vistara is a very attractive young woman.
Mm-hmm.
So you've been flying around the galaxy with your dad, and here's this pretty girl, and oh damn, she's a Sith.
Yeah,
but I've still got the hots for her. So
yeah, she's clearly playing up to this as well. She knows what she's doing. She is toying with Ben a lot and being very flirtatious and using all of the gifts nature has given her to her advantage. And it was quite difficult to read in some points because it's we all can see it as the reader. Luke can clearly see it, and Ben is just like, nah, I'll be fine. It's all good. He's not thinking with his head here. He's thinking with his heart.
Yeah, but think back to when you and I were that age. A little bit less time ago for you and more time ago for me. But when there was a cute girl around, did we care about anything other than the fact that there was a cute girl around, no matter what? She's saying she's interested in us and acting like she's interested in us. And I don't know that if I'm in Ben's spot, I'm going to really care whether or not it's genuine at first. Jedi Order be damned.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's also the element of Ben obviously knows she's a Sith, and there's that part of him going, well, even if she's trying to turn me, Jason failed, who is a Sith master by that point in time. So I'm pretty confident, maybe a little bit arrogant about that fact that, well, a Sith master failed to turn me. So this mere Padawan or apprentice or acolyte, whatever title they have, they're not going to turn me. So I could turn her.
Right. Well, and there's probably some validity to that too, because I mean, think about Jason. It's his cousin and his mentor and someone he loved very deeply. And I think even either Luke or Ben kind of says this, if Jason, with all that ammunition and leverage, wasn't able to turn Ben to the dark side, like you said, nobody's going to be able to. But what Luke is looking out for is when she makes the final push, Ben turns her down, and then the ensuing conflict that would happen is going to tear Ben's heart to pieces.
Yeah.
Again.
And that boy's been through some stuff. Obviously, we're not talking about the previous series here, New Jedi Order and Legacy of the Force, but that boy's been through some stuff for a 15, 16-year-old boy. And it's understandable why he might be slightly arrogant. He's seen or heard stories of his dad turning Darksiders back to the light, and his mum. Yeah. Being a prime example.
The Emperor's hand.
Yeah.
He was able to turn her away. His grandfather, who was quite arguably most powerful Sith lords in history.
Yeah.
Even with all of the mechanical enhancements to keep him alive, there's a lot writing or backing up his thought that, hey, I'm not gonna turn to the dark side. But I felt for Luke throughout this whole arc, because it really starts in earnest with this book, and it just escalates even further and goes even further in the next 3 books. That it's a tough thing, I would bet, for a father to watch his child go through, especially having been down that road before. And granted, he was successful with his own wife in Mara, but that doesn't mean, when Luke went through that, he was many years older, and I would say more steeped and more in tune with the Force than Ben is, because even though he is a Skywalker and he has that Skywalker blood flowing through his veins, he's still just was he like 16?
I'd say so, yeah. I think he's 15, 16, that sort of.
He's still, even with all that he's been through, he's still a teenage boy. Thinks teenage boy things. So it's a challenge, but the way it's kind of weaved into the story here is really interesting.
Yeah, and we're obviously making quite a big talking point out of that particular little theme, and it is, as you say, it's scattered through all of these books. As soon as Vistara is introduced, it is scattered through, and it's not really focused on, but it is an interesting undercurrent to the whole thing. It's focused on more in the next couple of books, and I know obviously from where I'm listening up to on Audible, I know that I definitely don't know what happens beyond this. And so I've listened up to the end of Vortex, and I've got the next 2 queued up, ready to go. And I've been desperate to hit play on them because I want to know, but I'm like, no, I can't sully the podcast.
You see, it's funny because I have all of that in my head already, having read the next 3 books, and I'm really kind of, if you could see what was going on in my head, I'm really kind of holding the reins of the horse back, because there's things that happen along this line in the next 3 books that are pretty important to the story. So there's this burgeoning romance, and Ben's plan to try and turn Vistara to the light side of the Force plays a part, as it plays a part in these 3 books, but it goes to the next level.
Yeah.
In the next 3 books. And I think even Ben said it to himself, or to Luke, that being a Sith is all Vistara has ever known since birth. She's not been shown an alternative way. So maybe it's not as foolish or a boyhood fantasy that Ben thinks that he can turn Vistara to the light.
And they do mention this, and I think it is in this book, where it's not just asking her to turn away from the dark side, it's asking her to turn away from her people and her culture and all of that element of it. And it's a really difficult thing, because Ben has only ever experienced or known about the light side. He's seen what the dark side has done to people, what it's done to Jason. He would have heard stories about what he did to his mum and to his granddad, and he will have seen what it did to Jaina as well, and the impact it's had on her. So I think it's really difficult for both of them, and it brings obviously allusions to Romeo and Juliet and those potentially
star-crossed lovers,
star-crossed lovers, and
quite literally star-crossed.
Yeah, but also that sort of forbidden love as well. Of you've got the two warring families in Romeo and Juliet, and then you've got these two ideologies of the Force in Star Wars on opposite sides of the spectrum. And so we've got this situation where Luke is constantly trying to figure her out and trip her up, and Ben is like, no, she's fine, let's trust her, let's believe her, she's doing everything she says she's going to do. And we have it sort of culminates to this moment where they are attacked by the Night Sisters, who it later comes out are being manipulated by Abeloth, and they take refuge on this hilltop, but they need someone to sort of claim the hilltop. These two merging tribes can't do it because one can't be above the other, physically or literally. And so they say, hang on, we've got the Grand Master of the Jedi here. The Jedi can claim the hilltop. And Luke's sat there going, yeah, I can't do that because I'm not technically the Grand Master of the Jedi, and I can't be within a certain distance of a Jedi outpost at the moment.
Right.
And I love this wording of the law against spirit of the law moment where he goes, Ben,
figure it out.
Figure it out. I'm going down there, halfway down everyone else.
Yeah. That way I'm as equidistant.
It leads to Ben claiming the top of the hilltop in the name of the Jedi Order temporarily. They create and throw up a flag, and he has to host members of all the different groups that are there. So the two main clans, and he's like looking down this hill at his dad, who set up camp about halfway down, just like do. I've got nothing to do with this.
Making s'mores and roasting marshmallows and whatnot.
Absolutely. And there's a moment in it where Ben looks down at Luke, and Luke is hopping from rock to rock. And I just thought this is an absolutely brilliant moment to show how far Luke Skywalker has come as a Jedi and a warrior. Because he knows he's going to be all over this little section of this hilltop, and potentially all the way around this hill. So he's mapping the terrain, what stones are loose. And so he has freed up time and energy in his brain for his Force powers to fully take over in the coming battle.
Yeah.
And again,
it was really interesting. What's great about it in the book is it's not explicitly stated. Like the reader kind of leads themselves to that conclusion, like you just did.
Yeah. And I was just like, this is Luke Skywalker at the absolute peak of his Force powers, Force prowess, and leadership abilities. This is the Luke Skywalker I wanted to see in the sequel trilogy.
Yeah. But it's a story for another time.
We're talking expanded universe here. But no, I completely agree with you on that point. This is because Luke would be about the same age. He might be a little bit younger than he is in The Last Jedi and Force Awakens. But it's about 30 years afterwards.
No,
sure
he's actually older.
Is he?
Yeah, because I think the Legacy of the Force was...
That might have been 30
years. He's about the same age.
It's in and around, within 5 years, I reckon.
Yeah.
The way he maps out this area, and it looks like he's just going for a stroll. But Ben knows what he's doing. And he's like, yeah, my dad's getting ready. This is not good that my dad is doing this. And as the reader, you are just like, this is so good. This is such Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, well, we're not the ones that are about to have to deal with dozens of Force enhanced and guided Rancors trying to climb that hill,
and armored as well. So
and armored too, and ridered, and they carry weapons.
Yeah,
I mean, come on.
Like the Rancor was scary enough,
right? Yeah,
and they've just upped the ante, and it was one of my favorite moments in the series up to listening to it at that point in time. I just thought it was so well done, because you kind of get the allusion to these rancors earlier on in the book. And you're like, oh, that's a cool little touch. They ride rancors. That's pretty cool. Anyway, on with the story. Little do we know, we're going to get like 30 to 40 rancors attacking this hilltop, along with arrows from the Night Sisters who are hidden in the trees. And it's the battle scene. It goes on for a while, but in universe, like a number of pages and chapters, but in universe, it goes on, I think it's like 3 or 4 days.
If that.
Yeah.
If so, that. I think it was like 3 days.
Yeah. And that is, they're resting, they're trying to heal their wounded and things like that. And I can't remember which character it was, but someone starts reaching out through the Force to the Rancors to try and figure out how they're doing. Because obviously they're trying to figure out, is this a lost cause? Do we need to like run? And I think it's one of the members of the tribes.
Yeah, and I think you're right.
And they sort of come back and say, yeah, the Rancors that are now attacking us, they've been into battle before. They're tired. They're hurt.
Yeah, it was definitely one of the tribe members or clan members, and it was one of the females. I forget the character's name, but it was one of the people that were, or one of the women that was responsible for the Rancors that were kind of harrying Luke and Ben as they were making their way towards where this summit was going on. So it was one of the women.
Yeah, but again, it's just another example of the Force being used in a slightly different way, really interesting way, and how it connects all living things.
Right.
And I just thought the whole battle sequence, and obviously it's book 4 of 9. They come out okay. It all gets sorted out in the end. And so, yeah, they see them off, and Ben takes down the Jedi outpost, the hastily created Jedi outpost. Luke makes his way back up the hill and goes, well done, everyone. And they sort of move on. It's really showing sort of how Abeloth is infiltrating and manipulating all these different people at once, which harkens back to another EU thing, which I don't know if it's ever truly made it into canon with, I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say his name. Palpatine being a master battle manipulator, or I can't remember the name of the Force power.
Battle meditation.
That's the one. Master of battle meditation. And he does this on almost a galactic scale to help the Empire everywhere all at once. And it just feels like Abeloth is just showing touches of that, of like, yeah, I can do that. Look what I can do. And just does it.
Well, the cool thing about Abeloth's power is she can essentially, it's like what was, I'm about to go High Republic here. But
Geode.
There was, no, not Geode. He couldn't split pieces of himself off. No, there was a Jedi in the comics. It was like a green kind of blobby kind of form where he could he could split pieces of himself, but I mean it was like a physical split. Abeloth can diffuse her spirit or her essence through different beings, so that I won't explain too much more because that comes into play in the next 2 books. But she doesn't what I'm saying is she doesn't necessarily need to physically be there to influence events, because in this book, until you said it, as many times as I've read this series, until you said it, I really didn't think about the fact that maybe Abeloth was having some sort of influence over the Night Sisters, that it was more or less Vistara kind of pulling the strings, pushing them into a conflict, because she was evaluating them, evaluating their usefulness to the Lost Tribe.
that's a really good point as well, because it does get later revealed that she lands and falls in with the Night Sisters and sort of is playing double, triple, quadruple agent or whatever, how many different layers of it you want, really.
Right.
And so she's offering the Night Sisters a way to take out these two merging clans and to keep the lines pure, as it were, because the Night Sisters are extremists of the Dathomirian world. And while she's there, she's also assessing whether actually she switches sides and goes with the clans and goes with Luke and Ben, all to try and serve the greater purpose of the Lost Tribe of the Sith. And that is a real factor as well. But I do think Abeloth being a part of this all is a huge point as well. And so we've got all these different threads happening at once. Yeah, and then obviously you got the undercurrent of her relationship with Ben that we've already spoken about. That's kind of everything that happens on Dathomir, really, isn't it? Which is a sizable chunk of the book.
Right. Well, there's also kind of like a side quest where Alana goes off to find R2, who was kidnapped or stolen by that guy in, was it Monrag, the dude with the mechanical eye?
Yes. Was that on Dathomir as well?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yeah, because what happened is actually Han, Leia, and Alana end up there. That's how Alana got kind of into her mischief. And another kind of cool thing about the unification summit that was going on was there was basically the Dathomiri Olympics.
Oh yes,
was going on, and I like how they said it. You know, not those with and without the Force; it's those with and without the arts, which I just kind of thought was a cool way to kind of describe it. But what was really funny was just Han Solo and I forget who the other guy was. He didn't have the arts. He didn't have the Force. I think it was Tassander, maybe. He was one of the other characters, but they had the shooting competition.
He was a mercenary, wasn't he?
Yeah, something like that. But he was part of the other clan.
Yeah.
And their kind of back and forth during the shooting contest was kind of funny. It was described as Han basically shooting from the hip and hitting all 10 targets perfectly, and the back and forth was funny.
Yes.
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting, all of the goings on, and of course any of the competitions that Luke entered, he won because he's Luke Skywalker.
Obviously.
Makes sense. Let's see what else. Oh, when leaving Dathomir, or before leaving Dathomir, it turns out that Vistara, Shock of Shocks, was doing some nefarious and underhanded things, had already reached out to the Lost Tribe as soon as she landed and said, hey, there's these Force sensitives here. They might be useful to us. And basically the Lost Tribe comes and says, okay, Night Sisters, you're coming with us. If you don't come, we're going to kill you. Or we're just going to take you, torture you, and eventually you'll serve our purposes.
Yeah. Sith are going to Sith.
Exactly.
So yeah, that kind of is the common. That's the main purpose of the book, really. But we've got obviously these other storylines that are going on at the same time as well. And probably the biggest one is what's happening back on Coruscant with the psychosis of the Jedi. So we have Chief of State Darla escalating her authority and implementing her authority on the Jedi, and it's happening with more and more aggression as she goes through, and she's wanting to take the psychotic Jedi, the Jedi who are falling to this psychosis, and put them in carbonite, because that is what she seems to want to do. The Jedi are getting better at realizing when someone has gone and has fallen into this psychosis, and they are reacting differently. They are trapping, stunning, neutralizing them in humane ways, so they can study them to try and figure out a cure. And the way they're doing this, but also still playing politics with Darla, is, and it starts in this book and it carries on in the next two, where it's starting to create a bit of a divide within the Jedi Council. And it's just, you can just feel it escalating. Like, we're starting to get, as I say, the ball rolling with Luke and Ben. We're starting to get the ball rolling to a culmination of something on Coruscant. And is it in this book where she contacts the Mandalorians?
Oh, the Mandalorians are already there. They
are.
They have had attacked the Jedi Temple in an attempt to bring back the sick Jedi. So they're and now they're surrounding the Jedi Temple, and eventually they lay siege. Not in this book, and then I think it's in the next book.
Yeah,
they lay siege. But no, the Mandalorians have already been contracted, and they're already on Coruscant.
Yeah, and Darla's starting to play politics a little bit more. I think once Han and Leia get back to Coruscant after their dalliance to Dathomir, they get summoned to Darla's office, don't they?
Yes.
And they are sitting in the meeting, and Han tries to excuse himself because he feels like he's going to lose his cool, we'll say. And she says, no, you have to stay. You are crucial to this proposal. And she doesn't want Leia to be her messenger. She wants to basically forcefully enlist Han back into a general of the Galactic Alliance and act as almost negotiator, because he has quite clearly at that point in time a foot in both camps. He's got his duty to serve, and he's got his marriage to one of the most prominent Jedi in the galaxy.
Yeah, he's really the perfect person, at least on paper, to liaise. I don't know that if I'm Chief Dala, I think that having for all of the respectable ways that he's now espousing, and that he's, being a respectable person, he's still very much a loose cannon.
He's still Han Solo.
He's still Han.
He's still
Solo.
a scoundrel.
He's still. You can't drive the scoundrel from him fully.
No, not at all. Not at all. And his reaction to this is understandably annoyed, because it's put him in a very, very...
to put it.
It's a way to put it. Because it's put him in a really difficult position with his wife, his obligations to Alana, and now his duty to potentially the survival of the Galactic Alliance,
of the galaxy itself,
and therefore the safety of the galaxy.
Yeah,
and it's a really, really difficult position he's put. Darla's put him in, but he ends up.
If you don't think that was, got to think that was intentional.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. It was a calculated political play by Darla, and yeah, it's kind of left there of kind of, this is what I want you to do, and he accepts, but we don't really get much more, I don't think, in this book of him acting on it. I think he just needs to report back what he can report back, but also try and promote a peaceful resolution to this conflict between the GA and the Jedi Order. And we've got an interim Grand Master who wants to support the Galactic Alliance and Darla as much as they can without co-opting the Jedi Order too much.
Yeah. The more these books go on, I mean, I get that Kenneth Hammer was in I don't envy the position that he was in, but still, and it culminates in the third book, but in the third book of this arc. He really was acting less like a Jedi Master and more like a bureaucrat.
Yeah.
And that kind of shift just becomes greater and greater in this arc until it resolves itself in the third book. One thing about that meeting with Dala, Leia, and Han, I don't know if it was, you could call it thinly veiled, or she hinted or suggested that maybe the families of the Jedi would be in danger, if this thing doesn't resolve itself. And then after that meeting, Han, Leia, Alana, Jag, Jaina, and I think a couple other people were all at dinner.
Yes.
And they were attacked.
Yes, and it was...
Like, we as the reader know it wasn't Dala that did it.
But it was from kind of her office, wasn't it? Ish.
It basically what it not her office, but maybe her administration.
Yeah.
Where there's Lursen, I think is how you say it. That he of the Amoth of the Galactic Empire, he's trying to he's setting things in motion so that Dala makes a critical error, and then the Galactic Empire can swoop in, take over the Galactic Alliance, forget about a unification and a power sharing. He wants the Galactic Empire to be in the driver's seat, and part of that plan involves, a lot of misdirection and everything, but it also involves getting rid of Jagged Fell.
Yes, who is it at this point in time is engaged to Jaina Scully?
I believe they're engaged at this point, or it's like really super early in the next book, but I believe they're engaged at this point.
Yeah. So if it's not in this book, it is in the next book. Congratulations to the happy couple. We can all see where this is going, I think. The target of the assassination attempt is Jagged Fell, but it also raises the question of actually who was the target for the people in the room, because they're all there. They've just had this meeting with Darla. They're kind of telling Jag and Jaina about it, kind of coded slightly over Alana's head, but also for Han and Leia, Alana's there. Right. And that is, that's a poor move by the Empire.
Yeah. Well, yeah. They didn't. I think it comes out that they didn't know that she was going to be there.
No,
they didn't know that she was going to be there, and Lursen was like, "Well, I'd rather that wouldn't have happened, but oh well. At least she didn't get hurt."
Yeah.
But if you think about it, it's really a kind of a masterful stroke on Moff Lursen's part, because the target was Jagged Fell. So let's say this succeeds. Okay, he's removed Jagged Fell, from office, and then he can step in as emperor or chief of state or head of state. And also at the same time, he's really put a gigantic Coruscant-sized wedge in between, no pun intended, in between
Star Destroyer.
Star Destroyer. Perfect. Star Destroyer-sized wedge in between Dala and Han and Leia, and by extension, the Jedi. Because Han and Leia, the way it went down, like you said, it looked like they were the targets. Even though the attempt on Jag's life failed, it was only a partial failure because that other piece of it, sowing the distrust between Dala and the Solos, was very successful.
Absolutely. And Tahiri, I think, is the last point for this book. Where are we at with Tahiri on this? I know, so she's been arrested, hasn't she, for the assassination of Pelion. I think she's just in a holding cell for the majority of this book, and I don't think the trial's actually started yet.
No, the trial doesn't start till the next book, but there was also a decision point where it was impressed upon Dala that, okay, you've gone after Luke Skywalker for dereliction of duty. You've gone after Tahiri for the murder of Pelion. What about Admiral Niathal?
Yeah.
She's got some culpability in this, that at least in the public's perception, and this was definitely very much a public perception move, where she had charges filed of I think it was like dereliction of duty or something like that, failure to act in the best interest of the Galactic Alliance, whatever it was. And when they went to go arrest her, she had taken the warrior's way out and basically asphyxiated herself with carbon monoxide in the tank that she was floating in.
Yeah, and just for anyone who, because I don't think we've mentioned her before, she is the former chief of state of the Galactic Alliance, isn't she?
Yeah, co chief of state, and in the Legacy of the Force, Jason Solo, Darth Caedus, eventually forces her out. Yeah.
So it's very much impressed upon Dala that you can't just go after who you want. If you start this process, you have to go after people who you still consider friends, because they are also party to these issues that you're raising. And yeah, obviously this happens, and Dala, it's the first time we really see Dala as having a bit of morality about her. And she's very conflicted about pulling the trigger on this one and whether to actually file charges. And she does it to keep the pressure on the Jedi and Tahiri and to further her own goals, which also shows how ruthless she is.
Well, I mean, she was an Imperial Admiral.
She was. She didn't get there by accident. Yeah, I'm trying to think back when specific things, like little things within the story, happen. Does Tahiri get her legal representation in this book?
I don't think so.
So we'll leave that to the next book.
Yeah.
Speaking of which,
well, wait. So in order to fully seamlessly lead, so back on Dathomir, Luke and Ben go to leave with their friend Dion.
Yep.
And Vestara. And oh boy, the Sith are there. The whole fleet that came to grab the Night Sisters, they also stop Luke and Ben from leaving. They shut down the engines. and wait to be contacted by the Sith, and that's where the book ends.
So we move on to the next book called Allies. So before we dive into the story, what's your grade for this one?
I have to give it a strong A. A strong A, just because the mere concept of the Grand Master of the Jedi Order, forget the fact that Kent is acting Grand Master. I don't like him.
No.
Luke Skywalker is my Jedi Grand Master. But the fact that he decides to ally with the Lost Tribe of the Sith, for me, just kind of underscores how dire a threat Abeloth is.
Absolutely. It's Luke Skywalker being known to be the perfect Jedi, aligning himself with their sworn enemies. And it's that old thing, isn't it? The enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Well, it's even worse than sworn enemies. I mean, these are spiritual enemies. I mean, this is more than just a differing view of politics or differing worldview. This is just on a more basic elemental level that they're that they're opposed.
They're the opposite sides of the coins. Absolutely. Yeah. They're other ends of the spectrum completely. And the fact that Luke Skywalker takes the time to consider this and goes, this is a big enough threat. And there's a little bit of manipulation and misdirection by the Sith, naturally. They sort of plead. But tell you what, before we get into the detail, I agree with you. I would actually go one step further and say this is a strong A, bordering on an A+. For the very reasons, it's this situation where everything is starting to come to a head. And you're looking at this going, this is book 5. Where are we going to go from here? And the intrigue, as you're going further and further through this book, seeing all of this stuff unfold and play out, and you just go, how can they ramp this up anymore? And yet every passing chapter, it ramps up more and more and more. So with that said, getting back to what we were saying about the Lost Tribe of the Sith, they explain to Luke that they are also suffering from psychosis of their students and their Padawans, which leads Luke unwittingly into this alliance to a degree. And it's an uneasy alliance. There was never going to be anything but. Luke does not trust these people.
No. And, you've got the complicating factor of your prisoner's father is with this task force.
Yep.
And, there's some interesting things where when they first make contact, Gavar, or how do they say it in the audiobook? Gavar. Okay. Where Gavar asks to meet with Vistara, and they do, and they think I'm sure they're not silly enough to think that it was a private conversation. In fact, I think they even
they assume it's not, and therefore they
assume it's not, so they're speaking Kashiri.
Yeah.
But I mean, just all the layers upon layers and the alliance can just fly apart at any minute. And
it almost
a couple
does.
of times it does.
Yeah.
I mean, there's parts where it's like, okay, we're going to find Abeloth, and we're going to go beyond shadows, and we're going to do this together, and then all of a sudden, okay, forget you, I'm going to fight you, Sith and Jedi, and, all hell breaks loose, and then once that's done, it's like, okay, now we got to work together again. I mean, it was, there was a lot of a lot of back and forth, and just the overall idea of alliance. And this is this kind of occurred to me as we've been talking about it. There's a real world parallel from World War II, where we're, the Americans, the British, allied with the Soviet Union against the Nazis.
The greater threat.
The greater threat. And that's, that's kind of how I view this alliance. And then as soon as the greater threat, conceivably, as soon as the greater threat is eliminated, then we're back at each other's throats again.
Back to the status quo. Oh.
So yeah, it's even just reading it, not, obviously we're not in that world or in that universe, but just reading it, it's a little intense because you're waiting, even myself, who's read this series a few times, you still, like, I know what's coming, but you still put yourself in the character's shoes and think, okay, this is tense.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've got all of that tension and all of that mistrust and all of that clashing and then coming apart and going, no, we need to work together. And you've got Luke Skywalker mocking them relentlessly, but in such a dad way. And he's almost just walking along, just joking along with Ben. And he's like, oh yeah, look what I'm going to tell him now.
Yeah.
And I can't remember which force power it is.
Oh yeah. I know what you're talking about and I can't remember. And the Sith asked Luke, is like, you guys can do that? And Luke said, what? You can't?
Yeah. And he's just like, and he sort of, there's a little glance at Ben of like, don't smile. Or like,
it was the Dathmiri blood trail.
Yes.
He didn't say it was that. They thought that Jedi can just locate anyone they want in the galaxy wherever they want. Something like that.
Yeah. And yeah, because it was like, so how did you track us? And he's like, what, you can't do that?
You guys can't do that?
What do you mean?
Interesting.
Ooh, this is awkward. And he just plays it off. And it happens.
And it's great because they, Ben, as he becomes more and more wary, rightfully so, of Vistara, he after one betrayal or two betrayals, he finally kind of starts watching what he says around her.
Yeah, and it takes Luke showing Ben the recording from that conversation and then being able to translate the odd word here and there to kind of get an idea of what the conversation was and the tone of the conversation as well, showing that, no, she is still aligned with the Sith and she is reporting back. So you can't trust her the way you have been. Ben starts to really shut down his emotions around her and not let her see that she's having an impact, to the point where Luke actually says, what are you doing? You need her to think she's winning. This is like, you're playing checkers. We need to be playing chess. And really, this is your opportunity to turn the tables on her and get her to tell you stuff that we can use and is useful to us. So that when they do inevitably betray us, which they will always do, we're ready and we've got a plan and we're prepared.
Yeah, we're ready for it.
Yeah. And so you then end up with these two agents. It's very, very Mr. and Mrs. Smith, isn't it? the fantastic Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie movie where they work for opposing assassin agencies and they often go against each other.
Uh-huh.
And it's you've got that weird scenario with Ben and Vistara, and just constantly trying to one up each other, but also they are developing feelings for each other, and Vistara admits this to her dad and also to Talon multiple times, and Luke sort of kind of admits it to Ben kind of admits it to Luke. There is something there, because there has to be. You've kind of put me in this position. This is what you want from me. You want me to develop feelings for her, but I also have to be on my guard all the time. And listening to that, it kind of broke my heart for Ben, because being put in that position at 16 years old is horrific. It's just sort of unthinkable, really, that this pressure to do such adult things and such deception at such a young age. And I really, really felt for Ben, but he knows it's for the betterment of the galaxy.
Yeah.
And so
it was really, I think what was also really interesting was the struggle that Luke went through before, because he had the translation first. And the struggle that Luke went through after he heard that, she's still feeding them information. He had, his suspicions were confirmed, kind of thing. And, by the way, that thing we said about our apprentices going insane, not true.
That was the thing that tipped it, because she was like, what do you mean? Is this particular apprentice okay? I think it was someone who she had a bit of a crush on in the earlier books. And he's like, no, it's nonsense.
No, they're fine.
They're fine. Don't worry about it.
I think the line was, there is nothing wrong with our apprentices that a good beating wouldn't fix.
Yeah, there is that. They are all about that capital punishment. Luke manages to understand enough of it to get the gist of that conversation, and it just sets off this chain of events between Ben and Vistara, where they are constantly one-upping each other. They're constantly toying with each other as well, which is fascinating to read and to hear and to see how it develops. But they always come through for each other. And that happens throughout this book and the next book. They always come through for each other. And they always make sure the other one is safe as to the best of their ability, and make sure that, and they fall out constantly, as teenagers are wanting to do. They fall out and they throw accusations at each other, but then something bigger happens and this alliance comes back together. They are really the two that are holding this alliance together more than anything else. I think Vistara can see the dangers of Abeloth, whereas Talon and her dad are just seeing it as a pathway to more power. But Luke takes Talon and a couple of the other Sith, who I don't think their names are particularly important. They're kind of grunts, but they are sort of high-ranking grunts with the Sith into this mind realm name, Beyond Shadows, that we encounter in the last book, and they find Abeloth, and I think there's a realization with Luke at that point in time of, actually, this is a real place. I'm just seeing it. A couple of them fall into the Lake of the Dead, for want of a better phrase.
It was one of them. It was Fall, Faal, Leah Fall. But there's the recording that Luke got translated and everything. That all happened while they were over Klaatuine, which is where the Sith had, they decided, hey, we need to go back into the Maw. We need to call our friend Lando Calrissian.
Lando.
Hello. What have we? Oh, I'm terrible at that. Got it. Where's Billy Mack with Puppet Lando when you need him? But they call Lando and say, "Hey, can you bring this ancient asteroid tug so we can pull all the ships into the maw without getting destroyed?" But so they basically it's taking Lando a little bit of time to get the ship, like change the oil, change the air filters, stuff like that.
She's an old beast.
Yeah. I mean, I think the thing is like centuries old.
Yeah.
Is what they say. So it's going to take a few days, about a week or so to get it. So they park right outside Tatooine, which is, I think, in between Kessel and where Lando was at, and the Maw. And there's this fountain. They call it the Fountain of the Hutt Ancients.
Yes.
And it's this like natural growth of, I think the material is called wintrium or something like that. It's this glass like material that is super duper strong. And they go ahead and are waiting there. Ben and Vistara are sent down to the surface to get supplies with Diane, and Diane ends up going insane. Jedi are still going insane, and he starts to go towards this fountain, which it's considered blasphemous to go within, I think, like a kilometer of with any kind of technology.
Yeah, you're not allowed within 1 kilometer with any sort of technological device, and he's obviously riding a speeder with a lightsaber and communicator and all the other bits and pieces that Jedi has on them. And it did always strike me as odd that a kilometer is in the Star Wars universe, but I don't know why. I was like, oh,
well, it's the metric. Is it imperial metrics are foot?
It's metric.
Yeah, it's metric. So, damn, I was trying to make a joke there.
I know. I could see where you were trying to go with it, but unfortunately, it doesn't work. The alliance, and the rebellion work on metric.
Right, but the right, exactly. The thing about this is Vistara was key in stopping Diane from violating the fountain and causing a whole basically diplomatic incident with respect to the treaty whereby the Hutts can use your people as slaves. Who signed that document?
Someone who just quit their position, probably.
Yeah, well, I think it's been in
leave.
effect. I think they say in the book it's been in effect for like tens of thousands of years.
Yeah. So, it's been in place for a long time, and it was forever.
Yeah, forever. Oh yeah. What's the term of this agreement? Forever. Okay, good.
In cool. Perpetuity.
Yeah. But Vistara helping is one of the reasons why it was so much of a blow. I mean, all the other reasons, but when Luke finally told Ben about what the message said and everything else, Ben said, "But she helped us. I don't get it."
And not only did she help them, she didn't kill him.
Yeah.
She stopped herself, and she ended up subduing him, knocking him out, and sort of presents him to Ben. And almost like a, did I do okay? I know he's going to have a headache when he wakes up, but did I do okay? I held back my natural instinct to just strike him down. And again, it's that building of trust between them, but there is no trust.
No, because at the end of the day, she only did that to further her plan.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think even in that conversation with her dad on the ship that Luke has the recording of, when they're talking in Kashmiri, he flat out says to her, "You're an attractive girl. Use it." Like, again, can't ever imagine telling my daughter.
Yeah.
No. And it just, with one sentence, you're just like, yeah, you're Sith. It just reinforces where they stand and what they're willing to do, which is very clever. And it tells us as the reader, can't trust these people. Their intentions are not good. But yeah, on Klaatuine, we have this whole situation. And does Abeloth take control of someone on Klaatuine? I was trying to think. She ends up manipulating and controlling many groups of people.
Yeah. Well, no, it was Dion that she, was reaching out to and caused him to snap.
Yeah. Yeah. So she was able to sort of zero in and focus on him, going, I need you to go a bit cuckoo for a bit. And she's doing that whilst all the while all of this stuff is going on down here. Then they leave Klaatuine, don't they? But the Sith leave a couple of ships behind.
Right, to wait for
Lando and this galactic tug. And when they leave, they go down and have their way with the fountain. They start cutting pieces off and they start desecrating this sacred monument, which you kind of look at it in the first instance of when it's happening. You go, Sith are going to Sith.
Right.
Yeah, of course.
But wait.
It
gets better.
It does. And the twist this thing took, I was not ready for. So it's probably worthwhile popping back to Coruscant, because someone appears on Klaatuine, which we probably need to catch up with her on. That person is Jaina. Jaina is alongside Jagged Fell, as well as other Jedi, are trying to interfere with Darla as much as they can, still trying to protect the Jedi and keep the Mandalorians at bay and just figure out a way out of this for the Jedi. And this is where the siege happens, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah, what's going on is they're still looking for Solthus Sar and Turi Ultimec to be turned over to them, and they're also laying siege to the temple to prevent the Jedi from launching a Stealth X squadron, which the Galactic Alliance and Dala think, oh, they're getting ready, they're preparing for war against the Alliance, when it's actually they're trying to send a group of Jedi out to the Maw to help Luke battle this Abeloth, and also defend him when the Alliance eventually flies apart.
But also under the guise of taking the sick Jedi off of Coruscant.
Right.
Yes. So you've got like these weird multiple layers of what they're actually trying to do. And the truth is, as you say, they're trying to help Luke, which will be a breach of his exile. And they're trying to prepare for this inevitable battle with the Lost Tribe of the Sith.
Right. They send out I think it was Kent's assistant, Connie Asari.
Yes.
Who they, I thought the Jedi were supposed to be non-judgmental and spiritual beings, but no, they still can give people a hard time, and they, behind her back, called this kid, KP, Kent's pet, because she was basically teacher's, grandmaster's pet, which, isn't exactly fair. I mean, she's a kid. So they send her out, and the leader of the Mandalorian squad that's out in the plaza laying siege to the temple says, "You're not Sultan Sar. You're not Turi Ultimate." No, I'm not. Pulls a blaster out and kills her. Kills this young girl on the steps of the Jedi Temple.
Yep. And that leads then obviously to the main action sequence of Coruscant for this book, with them storming the Jedi Temple to prevent them taking off, closing all the blast doors or the hangar doors, and Jaina, being the sword of the Jedi, absolutely kicks ass. And she is taking out Mandalorians. She is putting them down.
She's been trained in the way of Mandalorian fighting.
Yes, absolutely. And she's protecting other Jedi. She's working. She's running around, like, absolutely owning this whole situation, until like the numbers are starting to get the best of her, and she ends up outside of the Jedi Temple when essentially the Mandalorians win and lock down the Jedi Temple. She goes and finds a craft, I think with the help of Jag, and rushes off to help Luke. She still sees it as, well, she's the sword of the Jedi. This is her duty. If she falls in this duty, then she's done her job. So she arrives on Tatooine just as Lando arrives, doesn't she? Or Lando arrives first, and then all of a sudden this ship appears out of nowhere.
Yeah, her stealth acts, and Jaina's like, "Uncle Lando?"
Yeah.
Still blows my mind, her calling him Uncle Lando, but Uncle Lando, what are you doing here? Kind of thing.
And so they end up going down to the planet, and they get roped in to this trial of the captured Sith who have desecrated the fountain of the ancient huts. And they have to pass judgment on these Sith. And Jaina's initial reaction is, I'm not the right person for this.
Right.
I have a slight conflict of interest here.
Yeah, really.
And Lando sort of talks her into it, going, no, look, you have to be fair. You have to just react to the facts as we're presented them and pass judgment. I will do the same. We both think the same outcome should happen, but we can't force that outcome to happen. Right. And Lando, it really shows Lando has grown through what we are presented with in the original trilogy to what we see here. And they end up acquitting one, but sentencing the other.
Don't
they?
No. What happens is it's Lando and Jaina come down, but also one of the Sith, that Leha Fall, comes down, who's was the commander of one of the ships, and she was actually the one that suggested to the leader of that armada, Talon, hey, there's this valuable stuff. We need to go down and grab some of it. And so she goes down and basically says, yeah, these two guys, or these two people right here, they were acting on their own. They were not acting on any of my orders. Basically hung them out to dry. So they were basically I think it was like a split judgment, like you said, but it was they found that the two Sith did violate the fountain, did, violate the technology restriction and everything. But they also found that the Hutts were not derelict in their duty, because as soon as the Klatooinians raised the alarm, like within minutes, maybe it seemed like in the book.
They even say it's about half an hour.
Yeah, 30 minutes, which, when you're zooming through hyperspace from many, many parsecs away, that's pretty much instantaneous.
Yeah, they came at a clip. And they're pretty slow moving, so they would have taken them a while to get to their ships.
So it was a split decision, but it didn't matter anyway, because the flames of rebellion of the slaves against their oppressors had already started, and things were jumping off. So and I just, the inner monologue that Jaina was having with herself while watching this Sith just hang these other two Sith out to dry. It was funny. At one point, she found herself almost feeling sorry for the guys or the people that she knew. The penalty for this violation is death. So they were going to die. And she gave that judgment knowing full well that was the penalty. So she really acted true to her charge of being impartial, but you could kind of tell that she felt dirty doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd obviously misremembered that. I thought one was you were right. It was a split decision, but it wasn't split amongst people. It was split against the charges, that because they were asked to judge, one, whether the fountain was violated, and two, did the Hutts live up to the intentions that was it, yes,
of the agreement of the Treaty of Vantor, which they called it. And therefore, could they legitimately say, all right, well, the agreement's now null and void, so you can't take any more of our people as slaves. But that's what, so it was, not only was she sending people to their death, but she also had, which conflicted her, even though they were Sith. She also basically had to side with the Hutts, which are, a member of that species once hung her father on the wall as a decoration, threw her uncle down into a pit with a rancor, and, hilarity ensued.
It's a great sequence in Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
But she's also subjugating a race of people to continued slavery.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So there's a whole host of things weighing on her, making her want to make one decision, but she has to be impartial, and she does, as you say, she does her duty in that, and it weighs heavy on her.
But at the end of the day, it is a quintessentially Jedi thing that she did. Yeah.
But it's this constant asking on a moral and ethical level to constantly reaffirm that you are going to be a Jedi in these scenarios, and that is the growing tide of the dark side in these books. The Jedi are being asked to do more and more things which conflict with their duties as Jedi. It's for the preservation of their order.
Yeah, and basically kind of repeating the errors of the Jedi Order back in the prequel and before era.
Yeah.
Where they're pulled more and more into politics. They're pulled more and more into that situation. And you would think that Luke would say, okay, enough of this. We need to move off Coruscant and this, that, and the other thing. And, eventually to this point, obviously to this point, that hasn't happened.
No. So this happens on Tatooine, and then does Jaina go with Lando? Or she returns, doesn't she? She returns to Coruscant.
No, she returns to Coruscant because somebody has to tell them what's going on, because there's no communications into or out of the Maw because of all the black holes. And if she were to go with and die, basically the rest of the galaxy would not know of this existential threat.
Yeah.
That is brewing in the Maw.
Yeah. And so going into the Maw, Lando's obviously getting ready to go into the Maw and follow Luke. Luke goes in, and with the Sith, tenuous alliance at this point in time, and they find Abeloth, don't they? They
do. They make their way in, and they're heading back to Sinkhole Station, which fabulous name, by the way.
Yeah, wonderful name.
Nice alliteration, and they get there. A handful of Sith ships were destroyed, and when they get there, Sinkhole Station has been destroyed. It's not there anymore. And basically Luke comes to the conclusion that, hey, my earlier suspicions are probably correct. This station was part of the mechanism that was keeping Abeloth trapped in the Maw. So they go down to Abeloth's planet, which I don't think is ever named in the series. So it's just known as Abeloth's planet. She's got a whole planet to herself. And that's when they go beyond shadows. And it is with the intent of finding and killing Abeloth. It's there that one of the Sith falls into the depths of eternity in the ironically, or as a result of karma, it's Leia Fall, the Sith that hung her comrades out to dry. I think somehow Luke had found out about that, or oh yeah, that's right, because Lando told him the whole story before they went into the Maw. So Luke saw that happen and said, well, I guess you kind of deserve that one.
Karma's going to get
you. He sees Mara again in Beyond Shadows, and up until that point, he had been comforted by visions of Mara that he was having, and it was like, almost like she was reaching out through the Force, and it was as if she was there with him in the Jade Shadow. And Mara said, that wasn't me.
Creepy.
And Luke said, okay, Sith, we need to go. Like, we're leaving Beyond Shadows. And then they go and basically track Abeloth down on her planet. They find her. Actually, it was Vistara, who at first it looked like a betrayal. Maybe it was a betrayal, but it was also wrapped up in the intention of helping. She let Diane go because he was insane. She reversed his sedation, and knowing that he would run and go find her. And so basically all they had to do was follow him.
Yeah.
So they find her, and this awesome battle ensues, which there's anything that I would love to see visually is, these types of battles just with all these esoteric and just next level force users battling it out. And they kill her. They actually destroy Abeloth. And you fast forward to Coruscant, where all of the patients in the Jedi Temple are, oh, okay. Where am I? What happened? They're cured.
Yeah. It leaves you in so much hope that in these moments, it's like, in the back of your mind, you're going, this is book 5. Mm-hmm. It ain't gonna be that easy. Surely.
No, but it's kind of like Galactus getting shoved into that next dimension. He's not dead. He's just all the way across the universe.
He's just no longer our problem for a little while.
Right? Yeah. We've kind of put him in a corner somewhere.
Yeah, and I love the fact that Abeloth takes on the appearance of one of Luke's old girlfriends, whose name is
Callista Ming.
Callista Ming, that's it. And they are having conversations, and he's probing her for information to make sure it's her, and she's kind of answering it until she doesn't.
Right.
He asks her a question and she answers, and he's like, that's not what happened.
No.
Luke starts to think, actually, was Callista Abeloth the whole time?
Right.
Then he realizes, no, I don't think so. I don't think this is accurate, because my understanding of the entire situation is Sinkhole Station was keeping her here. So she couldn't have been Callista, because Callista was physical. I know this as Luke Skywalker.
Well, she did end up, and I forget the books, but basically the thing with Callista is she somehow ended up having to be, she put her consciousness into the systems of this ship called the Eye of Palpatine. And Luke saved her from that. And she was put into another Force user, but she was like insane and fell to the dark. I mean, it was a whole thing. Yeah, there was, as he's talking to her, he realizes, no, this isn't Callista. This is somebody who has absorbed Callista. And I think that was a very key realization for Luke in this whole story, that, okay, this Abeloth isn't as easy to pin down as we might have thought. At that point, he started having suspicions that, well, maybe we didn't really kill Abeloth. We just made her weaker by killing one of her bodies. Because it's like mercury. You hit a blob of mercury and it splits, and it eventually wants to come back to itself. And that's kind of what goes on with Abeloth. Is and we'll see it a couple times at least in the next book, and then it happens again and again, where you kill one of Abeloth's bodies, it weakens her, so she has to go somewhere, hide out, recover, cause pain and mayhem to feed off of that dark side energy to heal herself. And then she's, basically back up and running, but she never really, then the fear is in Luke's mind that we need to keep coming at her, so she never gets strong enough to start reaching out to the Jedi that were the Jedi younglings that were, or the Jedi that were kept in the Maw while they were younglings.
No, absolutely. And they want to keep her body, don't they? To sort of,
so they can study it. Yeah.
Study it and try and figure all of this stuff out. And so they leave the Maw having done this, and they relay all of this to Jaina, don't they?
Yeah, well, before they leave Abeloth's planet, they, I think it was Ben was using the Force to kind of float the body towards the Jade Shadow, but it turns out that wasn't Abeloth, that was Dian. So Dian died.
Yes, yeah. And I think that's explored more in the next book, the implications of that.
Right.
But yeah, so they leave the Maw and they relay all this to Jaina, because the trial on Klaatuine is going on simultaneously to this happening in the Maw. The Jedi and Sith agree to continue their alliance for now, because they both realize that Abeloth is not fully gone. Ship makes a reappearance here, nearly taking out Jaina.
Yep.
Which is, it's always good to see Ship. I love this annoyed sentient vessel that is just there to cause havoc. And the conversations that Ship has with both Ben and Vistara throughout this thing are interesting, and there's even some dialogue between Jaina and Ship too. Yes, and it was pretty cool. I must admit, this really does show what I like in Star Wars. I seem to have an affiliation for inanimate sentient objects, because since
at least this one can talk. Sort of.
We don't know Geode can't talk. He communicates with his crew well enough through body language. Did you just say body? You know what? We're in very dangerous territory of a tangent here. So let's stay on. No, I've really enjoyed Ship as a concept since reading through Legacy of the Force when it first came out. Yeah, the relationship it builds with Ben, and when Ship left, I was a bit like, I want Ship back. and then obviously reading Fate of the Jedi back then, and rereading it this time around, I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot Ship came back. I love Ship. It's just a cool character. But yeah, so Lando saves Jaina, sends her back to Coruscant. We have back on Coruscant, kind of the finishing up of this book really is Darla. And I don't like the phrase secret lover. It's just someone she has a physical relationship with. Let's be honest. He's a secret lover. Yeah, fine. You know, they kept it on the down low. Boatu, I'm going to call him Boatu. Yeah. Where Boatu is trying to persuade her to call off the siege of the Jedi Temple. He decides against it in the end. And he is walking through the upper levels of Coruscant. Well, hold on a second. There's a key thing here that happens before this is he reaches out to Kenneth Hammer to say, basically says, I know you guys are prepping to launch. You'll be blasted out of the sky as soon as you launch. Can you stay your hand until I can sort things with Dala? And then as he's leaving, basically doing the walk of shame on Coruscant, that's when he's, what happens is what you're about to describe. Yeah, so he is approached and accosted by what appear to be two psychotic Jedi. he realizes within 10 seconds that he's still alive. Therefore, these can't be Jedi.
Exactly.
And he takes out one of them, who, by a pretty cool shot to the face.
Mm-hmm.
And as he does that, the guy's charging him, but the momentum takes him into the Jedi into him, and he ends up being stabbed with the lightsaber.
Yeah.
Boatu ends up dying mid walk of shame.
Well, no, he don't.
Does he die?
No, you're not
No?
dead. No, he's in a coma.
Oh, okay. I understood it that he died.
So that's what I was going to say. I just realized as we were talking about this, the first occasion of somebody not being killed by a lightsaber.
And people complain that Disney have used this trope. It was already there.
It was there.
Staring us in the face all the time.
That's right.
So I don't think he appears in Vortex at any point, does he?
He's in the coma all the way through.
That might be why I don't remember him, and I assumed he died.
No, but he does after in a sense, he makes an appearance, and things that are happening around him are instrumental to how the rest of the story plays out.
Right. Okay. We'll get there. We will absolutely get there. Yeah, that happens. He ends up in a coma. And the novel sort of starts its wind down towards the end with Tahiri being on trial.
Mm-hmm.
This is very much a C plot in the books at this point in time, but also very, very important. And her lawyer is Boatu's uncle.
Yep.
So there's a link there between these two things happening. And he's old. He's an old seasoned lawyer, and they are about to show a recording of Pelion's murder, which is what she's on trial for.
Right.
Her defense is not that she didn't. It's not that she didn't kill Pelion. It's that she was acting under orders directly from Jason Solo, and so she either follows through with the order, or she's court-martialed for disobeying a direct order.
Well, court-martialed, no.
Under Cadus.
Force choked and thrown up against a bulkhead.
Yeah,
through the Force.
But following the letter of the law, it's court-martial for disobeying a direct order, and that is the crux of her defense.
Yes.
And this recording is played, and it doesn't look good. No. It doesn't look good. And that's kind of where the book ends, with this cliffhanger of this recording has just been played in the trial, which is, given where we're at with the rest of the story, I thought was an interesting place to leave this book.
Yeah, I think so. Well, like you said, it was at this point it's a C storyline, but in the next book it's still a C storyline, but that piece of it, the recording, kind of resolves itself.
It does, and I obviously appreciate that this is going to. I don't think it's ever going to become anything more than a C storyline, but it's going to have bigger implications
for sure.
And so, I don't mind them focusing on it, and it's focused on quite a lot in the next book, but it just doesn't feel that important at the moment. Like, we obviously have an emotional connection to Tahiri. Again, much like Ben, she's been through a lot. But yeah, that's kind of where we leave the whole situation in Allies. A roller coaster of a book.
Yeah.
Todd, before we go, let people know where they can find you.
There was a recent episode of Source Pages, the Sacred Jedi Texts, where we wrap up Phase 3 and the High Republic as an overall, and as James so happily alluded to, there's actually my least favorite character in Star Wars was Geode, but he ends up getting some respect from me. But there's quite the fantastic ode to Geode that our friend James wrote with the help of ChatGPT, but you still had to type in the prompt. So
I did.
I'm gonna say you wrote it, but yeah. So that's more recently where you can hear me and James and our friends Brian Klein and Haley Hobbs. I also, from time to time, will do Q&A episodes for Rebel Force Radio on Patreon. Go to patreon.com/Rebel Force Radio to find out more about that. It is behind a paywall, but just a couple bucks get you in the door. So that's my shameless plugs.
No problem at all. Always welcome. And they are worth the every cent of those couple of bucks. So if you're interested in that, head on over to patreon.com/Rebel Force Radio to find out some more and hear more from Todd on those Q&As. But that is going to do it for this episode. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening. And as always, may the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you. Always.